The wheel keeps on spinning. Spin, spin goes the wheel. The wheels on the bus go round and round. As the genres come up, one shall go down. Do not frown because we are around to talk about video games in
Genres
today's
abound. There you go.
genre. Ooh, the bars, and that's a British bar right there. That's a we're here.
It's
We're
because we
gonna
have
talk about the
Shakespeare on the
best.
mind. That's why. With the
True.
Shakespeare with Pecs comment. What a fucking golden
Down.
comment.
This Shakespeare with pecs. That is fucking funny. But today you don't have to be subjected to too many pectorials. You're going to be subjected to a lot of video games. And today's video game nonsense is we're going to be spinning a wheel of genres. And within this wheel, there are a lot of genres. And when we spin this wheel of genres, it's going to land on a genre. And then we're going to tell you the best game in that genre. Loon, this was kind of threw together at the last minute. I'm going to ask you a question for how you want to do this out the gate. Do you want to each pick every time the wheel spins, or do you want to? I think it might be more fun. Spin the wheel, you pick, and then we got to spin it again, and I pick the next.
Um. So what is the premise? We're building a game off of the genre, right?
No, we're going to spin the wheel, and when it lands on a genre, we're just going to say the best game inside of that genre.
Oh, the best game. Okay, okay.
Super simple.
Yeah, as long as we get some element, there will have to be a pass because I don't like extreme sports is a patch. That would be me having to pass it and be like, you pick up.
So here's what I wrote this down just as sort of a concept. Tell me if you like this. We get one skip and one pass, where a pass will be you pass the genre on to me, I carry the genre, and then it spins back to you get the next genre.
Okay.
So you're passing a genre, and that'll pretty much eliminate my next. I won't get to spin it after that. It'll be back to you to spin. But if you skip it altogether, that pretty much eliminates that genre from being discussed. You remove it and you
Okay.
skip it altogether. Where it's like, fuck you, genre, get out of here. You don't exist anymore.
So,
But then you get to,
and if we land on it and we do the genre, are we also removing it?
yep, remove it
Okay.
if you if
Okay.
it yeah. But if you skip it, then it comes back like you don't get to go again. So if you skip it, then I go next, and then you got to wait another turn to go.
Okay.
Something just to gamify. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I threw this together in like 12 seconds. We're gonna try to see what we can get out of this. We're gonna mine this fucking
Absolutely. We'll figure this shit out as we always do. All right. Would you like me to spin the wheel?
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right, spin that bitch.
I'm hoping for extreme sports or something. Oh, that's hilarious. Souls like.
Oh no. Oh, easy. Fucking easy. I'm taking this one.
Are you
Easy.
taking it?
Star Wars Jedi Survivor. All day, every day, twice on Sunday, Loon. Take that. And your soul's like shit. Give me Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Definitively the best Souls-like game that has ever been made by such a wide margin. It's not even funny. Cal Kestis off on his here's the thing as well. Obviously, where we're this these are going to be our favorite games within each genre. This is the only Souls-like game
Even
I
if it
think
is
I enjoy.
objectively wrong.
This is the only Souls-like game I think I enjoy, even in the slightest. Um, yeah, well, I don't know. There's a couple others, but this is tremendous in my opinion. Jedi Survivor is just the perfect evolution of Jedi Fallen Order, the much more linear, much more corridor by corridor based, kind of Metroidvania feeling
Yeah.
Jedi Fallen Order into this vast, big, fucking sprawling, at times like Prince of Persia feeling experience. And also, you could totally make it not a Souls like, where you got your two different fucking you're dual wielding, and you have all these different play styles that make it more akin to a Ninja Gaiden, or more akin to like a fast-paced action game. So it's even more in my wheelhouse of the best Souls like ever, because I can make it as far away from a Souls like as any game possible. So this is the perfect first spin, because I'm able to throw in a Souls like that is barely a Souls like for
Robbed.
my winning.
Fucking robbed.
Oh man,
I
that is
to
hilarious.
be fair though, um, I don't think I. It's that thing of like it's obviously down to the interpretation of the player. I don't view this as a Souls like because there's certain things that it doesn't. I'm not saying that you need to choose a different game. Of course not. Like it's what you view and stuff like that. Because it does.
Won't do it.
There is plenty of overlapping where they have taken inspiration from it, and it's the type of thing of where a lot of people argue um, Sekiro does fall in that line of a Souls like, which I personally don't, but that's much more in line with Sekiro. So if there's enough of the people that do fall in line with that, it is what it is. It is a phenomenal game as well. It's taken the aspects of, say, Sekiro, which are just mostly brutal, and there's very little wiggle room for the player to get enjoyment out of it. Like it's with Sekiro, the opening hours is a lot like learn, 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 learn. This eases the player in and just lets you have fun while also giving you some level of complexity with the combat and the exploration and stuff like that. I think it's a good show.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for giving me a little bit of leeway there. And also shout out to Retro Rivals. I saw them do they went through and they did like the greatest game of each genre, and went through and talked about their favorite games inside of whatever genre they played. So inspiration comes from Retro Rivals. Forgot to shout them out at the opening, but definitely that is I'm stealing y'all shit here and then throwing a little spin on it with a literal spin on it. So let's spin again, my friend.
Alrighty. So we remove that, right? Souls like
Yep, remove
away
him.
you go. Sad
Thankfully.
face. Sad, sad face. This is a joke.
What you got?
Extreme sports.
No way.
All right.
I get Souls like and you get extreme sports. What a like you really obviously we can't rig this, but if we could rig this, that would be the most entertaining way to rig it. Someone who hates Souls like and someone who hates I don't know if you hate extreme sports, you just
I don't
don't
hate
play them.
them. It's just the thing that I don't. Oh man. So, how lenient can I get with the term of extreme sport? Because I'm
I
thinking
mean
you like SSX, right?
definitely.
You're
Absolutely.
talking like dune buggy games kind of thing. I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but that kind of thing where it's like over the like pure and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, that oh well, yeah. Skate definitely
Skate,
falls in line.
Riders
Any
Republic,
of the absolutely
and
yes.
Steep. Okay,
Steep, absolutely.
Trials.
Yeah, yeah, you could probably make a case for it somewhere in that puzzle extreme
Yeah, that
sports.
is
Like, yeah, I
okay.
mean, sure.
Hmm. I mean, I'll take it. You robbed me of souls. I know it's a thing of that you would like to thingy. So let me just go grab. I'm gonna probably say Riders Republic.
Oh,
Um,
God, dog, the Tony Hawk fans are crying out there.
I've never played a Tony Hawk game.
No, you're fine. You're
So
fine.
apologies,
You-
everybody. They just never were my thing. Um, okay, that is
I'm,
apparently the trailer. Interesting. Okay, it's a guy on like a plane.
uh,
Um, yeah, these aren't obviously things that I partake in much. Um, but I don't know how long. It wasn't particularly like an extensive amount of time, but I played Steep first because I think that released before this. It was like, that's kind of interesting.
I like Steep a lot.
Um, but I did like the because they kind of took the inspiration of what they did with the Crew 2, where you're able to like switch on the fly, right?
Hmm.
With transitioning from say like snowboarding or skiing and then wingsuiting and then biking and stuff. And that was kind of cool. It's just it's not something that would hold my attention for very like it's a very gimmicky kind of thing, and with me being so narrative driven, I can't think of a game that like Skate Free maybe should have probably taken this, but I
You can make the swap.
no, I think if I was to like dedicate and actually play more of it, it's more of the thing of like when you're younger as well, you have that benefit of just a lot more free time. So when if this would have come out, I would have chosen this over Skate Free, without a doubt.
Hmm.
Um, it just falls into the line of if I'm going to be playing something nowadays, it's going to be something like an Expedition 33. Like for the
Something with
past year
narrative.
and a half, what have I been so like heavily zoning in on? It's JRPGs and stuff. It's just chunking extensively long games off the bucket list and stuff like that. So I would go with that. I don't
It,
think I've overlooked anything like that I've played personally. I don't think.
it's a Riders Republic is beloved by people who really played a lot of it. So I don't necessarily think that's even a bad pick. I know it's going to get the whole Ubisoft yada yada yada, everything Ubisoft is bad, but like Steep is fucking really fun as well, and this is kind of another take on that. With much more variation, much more freedom in terms of the different fucking extreme sports on offer. And people who played Riders Republic a lot really, really enjoyed it. I remember Leo Vader from MinMax was like making a fight for it to be his game of the year
Hmm.
in I think 2022 or 2021 whenever it came out. And like so people who really got into it really, really enjoyed it. So
Which
yeah, I don't
which can come off sounding absurd, but the thing is that that genre doesn't get love really.
right.
So when
Not
something,
anymore.
if that person's that's their favorite genre from their childhood and they're yearning for it, even when
Right.
something like that comes along, like people can be looking because it would be like me, I would never even remotely think that that would be in the top 100 from whatever year that released for me. But for those that really, really love that genre, like that's what elevates it. So I could completely understand why he was would have fought tooth and nail.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not one that I've played a lot of just because of the online kind of forced online shit. But yeah, I know that that game is beloved by the people who really dove into it. But what we got next, my
I
friend?
swear to God, if this lands on JRPG, I'm walking out.
Ah. Oh, I got an easy one for
No,
that.
you don't. Oh, this is good. Beat him up.
Beat 'em up. Okay. This I would have to go, and it's going to be hard for you to pull up a trailer for this one, so I'll just be quick. I don't even know if there is one. I'm going to go X-Men 92, the arcade game from back in the day. They actually did re-release this on consoles a while back, so there might be like a console trailer or something, but I don't think it's still. I don't think you can play it on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was on Xbox Live. I don't really remember, but this was just this is one where I'm going to say it's got to go to X-Men 92. And I'm not saying this from a standpoint of like it is the best, although I do think it is one of the best beat 'em ups ever made. But this is just a childhood treat for me. The arcades were kind of out of style by the time I was, I don't know, 12 or so. Probably even earlier than that. But I just remember from like that little, I don't know, 5 year run from fucking 5 to 10, we had a bowling alley in my area. And of course, they had the Cabela's games and they had some of the different light gun games. And they actually had a decent variety of games there, of arcade games, but X-Men 92, that was where we were at. And just the art style, of course we don't have many good X-Men games even to this day. So there was of course just a part of it. I loved the X-Men as a kid, and the X-Men are still by far my favorite superhero group. And so of course there was some element of it there that was just like, yeah, even now we only have what, three good X-Men games that aren't like Street Fighter versus X-Men or
Mm.
so, and I would say that this is probably the best one ever out of any of them. So yeah, X-Men 92 is going to be my pick.
That's fair. Wouldn't have ever predicted. I didn't even know it existed. If I'm being honest, so power
Yeah,
to you for that.
it's one of those bummer ones because there's really, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. It might not even be playable on Xbox anymore.
I couldn't
Um,
find any like the footage I've had to pull up as of like I think somebody pulling it off of whatever original thing that they played it on 12 years ago.
I I actually a long time ago thought about buying an arcade cabinet
Mm,
of 92, like the actual arcade cabinet, not the, because I do think they made one of the like arcade one up things of X-Men 92. Um, but yeah, it's just it's incredible.
okay. Well, at least that is off the plate. I don't even know what I would have chosen for beat 'em up. Would you?
Shh.
No, like Sifu and stuff. Is that not? Would that not have been?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sifu's a fine choice for beat 'em up, I would say, because like where else do you really put it in here? I guess you
yeah,
could go action adventure, but I would say it's more of a beat 'em up
yeah.
than it is an action adventure
Because that's
game.
kind of where that genre shifted, right? It's gone from that
Yeah.
side-scrolling stuff to that kind of that vibe of modernizing it. So
I would say you can even throw in certain Yakuza games in there. The
yeah,
more restrictive ones for sure.
I mean that's a heavy element of the game from top to bottom is the beat 'em
Absolutely.
up. So yeah, that would have been a good shout. All right, me right.
Let's get it, man.
Spin, spin, spin. Be kind, please. Platformer. It is.
Oh my, you are getting fucked. Damn, two genres back to back that you do not have passion for. I love this. Oh my god.
Oh no, I have this. This is easy. Ori, right? That would count. Oh, that's not a Metroidvania
Absolutely.
though. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, you can get creative with it though.
No, that's a Metroidvania because it's on the
Okay.
list. If it wasn't on the list, I think there's Metroidvania
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
I do have
I can't take
Metroidvania
that.
down there. That is true.
Shit. Um,
Hey, you got to pass, you got to skip.
I I think it's more fun putting the fire up under me though, getting me on the spot. Jack 2. Is that?
Okay, fuck
Can
yeah.
that be?
Totally.
That has like
Totally. Yes.
that has a platforming element.
It's
Um,
a it's an action platformer. Where else would you put it? In action
I
adventure, I
have no
guess, but
idea.
like it's an action platformer. Absolutely. That's totally fine, dude.
uh, is there a trailer for this? Surely not. It's quite
Uh,
old, right?
yeah, I have not a clue. But hey, while
Hey,
you're
there we go.
but to your point, once again, we don't really give a fuck about specific genre definitions. If you define it within that genre, make your case for it within that genre, and then,
Yeah,
uh, yeah,
it's the type of thing of where if it's not something like I don't play platformers, they've never appealed
yeah.
to me at all. The literally, I'm being 100% genuine. I don't like the gameplay loop in the same vein of like how you couldn't get into traditional like turn-based stuff. Like when you were playing through
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate, it's like that thing of like I can see people liking it and why they would like it. Crash Bandicoot's never appealed to me. Sonic's never appealed to me. Mario's never appealed to me. They just, if I'm gonna sit down and play a game, I want narrative structure like heavily intertwined and stuff like that, and I need gameplay elements. That's why whenever I play like Metroidvanias, there needs to be like a heavy leveling system. So like Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and stuff like that are ones that I favor rather than the ones that solely rely on traversal mechanics and stuff like that. I like there to be gear. But Jack too, when I'm thinking back on it, there were platforming elements in that game, and I'm sorry guys, that's as close as you're gonna get from me. It's obviously a lot.
Dude,
It's not a traditional platformer, but it's as close as
it's an
you get.
action platformer. It,
Um,
it you could throw Ratchet in there. That'd be
I
totally
never
fine.
played it.
Ratchet. No, but I'm saying if you could throw Ratchet in there, you could throw
Yeah,
Jack in there. That's totally fine. Yeah, I don't. We could be loose with these genres. We're having fucking good time talking
and
video games.
yeah, but it's the thing of I don't know. I just have fond memories. I remember not getting very far. The game was fucking difficult, man.
It
I
is,
don't know,
yeah.
like,
The
if people have forgotten about the game was brutally challenging. But what kind of kept me going? I never beat it, but I remember just it was in that time of where I had the similar thing of like enjoying GTA's by not progressing the story back in the day. You could just
yeah.
walk around and piss around in Jak 2 because it had that kind of
Mhm.
GTA esque DNA. Obviously, it wasn't perfect at matching that. You had the ability to jump in cars. Am I not mistaken? Like you could fly
Yeah, no,
around
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Really cool game. And it's kind of disappointed they there's no more of them. I think like a
Yeah.
dark that was the thing, is it lent into a lot more darker themes, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Especially in compared to the first Jak game. So it was a lot more mature in its stuff, and I think that's what platformers should have done to remain mainstream relevant on
Yeah.
platforms
Well, I
other
mean,
than Nintendo. I think if they would have kept on hammering at that, it would have eventually kept them up there. But they kind of fell into obscurity, and then you got the collectathons made their little comeback, but they've never broken back through other than on Nintendo platforms. It's felt like.
totally. Yeah, and it would be tough. Obviously, Jack's never going to come back with Naughty Dog developing it ever again. But give it to a different studio. Throw Blue Point on a new Jack game. That'd be sick.
Put Bungie on it. I heard they need some work,
Yeah, they
allegedly.
gotta have a lot of time on their hands, allegedly. Spin my wheel, my friend. What we got next on this damn board?
We have for you, sir. That's interesting. I don't think I've heard you speak extremely highly of this genre. First person shooters. You can probably pick some out, of course, but it's not
Of
something
course.
that you. I don't think you resonate heavily with this, right, as a genre?
I love first person shooter campaigns, like stories. I love a good first person shooter story, but I'm not going to be able to, like, I'm not going to pick a Call of Duty,
Mm.
multiplayer from, like, it's not, my pick would probably have to be, and once again, we're doing this on the fly off the top of the head. That's another fun part of the spontaneity of spinning the wheel. We haven't had
Making
time
me
to think about
scramble for
this.
trailers.
Yeah, I am sorry about that, Loon.
What we
I
got?
would probably go Half-Life 2.
Oh,
I know that that's a Yeah, that's a tough one to because that is very, very narrative centric. That is very physics based, but it is a first person shooter through and through. You know what I mean? Like that is the entirety of what you're doing in that game is first person shooting. And yep, maybe sometimes you're not using traditional guns or whatever the case may be. But I think as a first person shooter, in terms of influence, you would probably give that to Half-Life 1 for like being able to walk around during dialogue while players are talking and shit. You're able to actually walk around, and it's that first time where stories are presented while you're actually active as the player. But Half-Life 2, with what it did with the physics and the gravity gun and slicing enemies in half and seeing the two different body parts fall on each side of the fucking blade, and um the end section just super super dark, like that game. Was it Holcomb or damn, I'm forgetting the name of that level that's just straight up horror towards the end of Half-Life 2.
Ravenholm?
It, Ravenholm. Yeah.
And I've not even played the
So fun.
game. I just know of its cultural
It's so
significance.
yeah, it is absolutely. It's I mean that game in specific
Yep.
influenced so many games to come.
Mm-hmm.
Um And yeah, so Half-Life 2 would be my pick for first person shooter. Close follow-up, not that we necessarily need a close follow-up, but I would actually say BioShock Infinite was the other one I was really thinking of. Just in terms of
Yeah.
the first person shoot, like I love playing that game. The game feel for BioShock Infinite is fucking 10 out of 10.
I was surprised you went with Half Life. Like, it's a pick for a lot of people. It would end up being. I didn't know you resonated that hard with Half Life.
I love Half-Life 2.
Did you? Because they never ported the first game, right? To consoles. I don't think
No,
it was only Half Life 2 that made its way over. So you never played Half Life 1?
no, and they I think they do have a port of Half-Life 1 on the PS2 if I'm not mistaken, but I think that
Uh,
version is horrible.
yeah.
Um so yeah, I've only played Half-Life 2 and I played it on the original Xbox, which is not the greatest place to play Half-Life 2, but I thought it was still totally fine. A little bit stuttery, a little bit, it's definitely not PC quality, but work totally fine to me.
Alrighty, my turn, right?
Yep.
So we're at 25 minutes. How many more did you want to do these?
We'll do a couple more.
Well, mine has spun.
Dun.
Sports.
That's an easy one for. I mean, hey, pass it to me, and I'll happily take that one. But I know you got some shit in the bag for this.
Mm, I'll
I
pass
mean,
it because my sports. Rocket League.
that's a fucking special. So I was about to say, Rocket League is
Yeah,
absolutely a
yeah. I
sports
have to go with that. I
game.
have to back my own opinion up because I did say it was one of the games that is a 10 out of 10. So for me to kind of just yeah, it's got to be that. So for me, Rocket League is probably the best in its genre. Um, Still play it to this day, which is a true testament to just how repeatable of the enjoyment that that game offers is because I think I've said it before. Obviously, I'm fairly driven by completions and stuff and achievements and stuff like that. So when I 100% a game, I don't continue playing it. There's only two games that fall under that category, and that's Football Manager
Both
and Rocket
sports
League.
games.
Yeah, they're the only
Yeah.
two that I've continued. Well, Gwent for a time as well was under that until they pulled the plug, and then Siege existed in that entity. But yeah, it's a thing of like I don't. You have like with yourself, you'll go back and visit like old sports games. I just don't do that. That's the difference between us, where you're always looking for you're pushing forward for the next thing in the now, and then you'll dip
Hmm.
back into the past.
Yep.
I don't do that. I usually drag my feet in the now and then don't dip into the past. Um, this is so rare for me to do that. But yeah, it's for me it'll be Rocket League. It's a thing of where I'm never gonna get better at it. It's that thing of like I would have to dedicate hundreds and hundreds of hours of breaking out of the skill bracket that I've these things that these tendencies and things that I repeat. So but it's still just so damn enjoyable. I just enjoy hopping
Rocket.
on playing like a bunch of games and getting told that wow, what a save or nice shot, where it's just constant verbal abuse from the beautiful community over there at Rocket League. We love you guys. Don't change.
But it's that game is undeniably like I when I think of 10 out of 10 games and when I think of games that are almost like they've found cultural relevance for a sustained period of time,
Yeah,
it really is very few on the level of a Rocket League. So I think that is a
especially
totally fine pick.
especially for a sports game. Like I know, like when you look back at it now, you're like, well, duh, of course that was successful, but it's kind of all the things just aligned perfectly for it because it could they already took this a stab at it in the PS3 generation, but multiplayer for that stuff wasn't able to support it as well. It was very rusty and it didn't click as well. It wasn't as smooth, and they moved into a time where stability on servers were just rock solid. So with this extreme physics based thing where it's everything is so over the top, it just works now, and
Totally.
yeah, it's really good.
Great pick, man. Spin that damn wheel for me, my friend, and let's see where the fate falls. What I get.
People are gonna get a kick out of this. This I 100% this is not scripted. We don't do this. It's JRPGs.
Oh my God.
You're
Well,
fucking
Loot,
kidding me, man. I should have gone first. That's what it should have been. And if
Loot, I'm gonna give you a layup here because my favorite JRPG is your favorite JRPG, even though it's not a JRPG. It's Expedition 33. It's this is
okay,
the
so I wouldn't be able to choose that because I don't classify it as that.
it it's to me, I don't really care about the specific whereabouts the game was
Mm-hmm.
made. It's
It
just
just
the
has the
style of
bones.
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like as you see in the wheel, I have Western RPG, I have Japanese RPG, I have action RPG. To me, action RPG, you would because that's not that's not centered around, okay, well, Blizzard developed an action RPG in America, so I'll do. It's not American role play game. It's games that are like Diablo. That's how I view action RPG. Where if it's Path of Exile, where if it's Vampire Survivor, like or not Vampire Survivors, V Rising, if
Mm.
it's games of that ilk, to me that's an action RPG. But a Horizon Forbidden West wouldn't fall under action RPG, even though it's a role playing game with action elements. It's more about what is the specific kind of makeup of the game, more so than where the game was created. But yeah, I'm going Expedition 33. I think it's the only time I've ever really like fully gotten into a game inside of the genre. I'm typically put off by a lot of the overly quirky, cheeky, happy-go-lucky. Like I don't really vibe with that sort of tone. I like stuff to be a little bit more, not necessarily grounded because Expedition 33, I wouldn't say it's necessarily grounded either, but there are very, very hard-hitting moments, a gut-wrenching story, um, dark as all hell at times, very mature themes, and also just some of the best combat I've ever experienced in a game. Hands down, the best turn-based combat I've ever experienced in a game. The action elements are so just it keeps you addicted. It keeps me coming back over and over and over, even though I'm dying non-fucking stop. I just want to keep playing it. And yeah, so for me, Expedition 33, I know it's not made in Japan, but it is as much of a JRPG because it's like, would you say that I don't know. Think about the amount of games that are influenced by Bethesda that aren't necessarily made in the West. Like to me, that's still I don't know, maybe you call it a Bethesda inspired RPG, or maybe you call this a fucking what would the first JRPG even be? Final Fantasy 1, I guess. I don't there was probably something before that, but yeah.
I don't actually know. Yeah, I don't know what the first one would have been. Um,
Yeah.
Probably SquareSoft,
Definitely
maybe
something Square.
something
Yeah.
Square or Enix when they were
Yeah.
split. But yeah, it's that thing of where I know people can get a bit carried away with, oh well, that's not that technical. It's the thing of like, well, when you think of it, I understand the both sides, and I don't think there's like a true wrong way of looking at it. It is it has two specific meanings. Not only is it a game that can be developed in that, it's just a style as well. It's like
Totally.
how Souls likes has just become synonymous, particular with certain aspects and stuff like that. Like being able to argue that Jedi Survivor is a Souls like because it is. It oozes so many aspects of it.
Well, it's the funny thing, Lou, where it's like, well, you could kind of argue that Elden Ring is a JRPG then, if you want to, like,
No, exactly. This is
it's
where we
so,
can't remove the goalposts. It's the thing of it. Yeah, this it's not
yeah,
set in stone for anything, and that's why you need to be flexible with your opinion in a
totally.
lot
And
of things.
if you're allowing me full flexibility, I'd probably say Final Fantasy 16 might be my favorite JRPG. I fucking love that
Yeah,
game.
that's a
But
JRPG.
yeah, but I think that I still think I like 33 a little bit more. I think 33 would be my favorite JRPG of all time. A JRPG. It would be my favorite JRPG of all time.
I love it.
So shout out to the 33. We did a full deep dive review. Check it out on the channel, my friends.
Yep. Boy, oh boy, that was a 2.5 hour endeavor. We spoke our heart out about it.
We did, man. That was a blast. What you got next, my friend?
I have remove JRPG sadness. Rolling, rolling, rolling.
What? Come on.
A fighting game.
You are getting killed. This wheel is so anti-loon today. And it's giving me all the games, all the genres you love. So it's
Would have
not
been
even just
nice to
anti.
land on strategy, Western RPGs, sim and management, racing, third person shooter, Metroidvania, action adventure, action, roguelike, open world, MMO, I would even take. Horror,
Ah,
but fighting. Oh
Uh,
boy.
You can kick it. You can kick it to me, or you could skip it altogether. Don't forget, you could skip this one altogether, and I wouldn't be totally disappointed with skipping the fighting genre altogether.
I'm trying to think if there is one though. Have I played a fighting game that? Ooh. Mm. Batman?
No,
No.
that's a
Is
stretch.
that a
That's a
stretch? Okay.
stretch.
Okay.
That is a stretch, my friend. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have
I
to.
could see it.
I'm gonna have to skip it.
Skip it
So
altogether.
is that
That's fine.
removing? Does that remove it, or is that just
Yeah.
closing?
Remove that bitch.
Okay, get
We
the.
don't need no fighting games.
And then it's me rolling again.
Nope, it comes to me.
Okay.
If you pass it to me, if you want to pass it to me, you can do that, and then it'll go right back to you.
Yeah, we'll just do that
Good.
then.
All right. I so you can just like I canceled your Batman pick, you can cancel my pick. I'm not sure. Would Def Jam Fight for New York be considered a fighting game?
I have no
Or would
idea. I've
that
never played it.
Well, I'm gonna go with Def Jam Fight for New York for my favorite fighting game of all time. I know that you could make an argument that that's wrestling, and I do have wrestling in here, so maybe that should be categorized as wrestling. But I think here's my qualification for Def Jam Fight for New York as a fighting game, is that I think Def Jam Vendetta is a wrestling game. Def Jam Vendetta takes place primarily in a wrestling ring, whereas Def Jam Fight for New York almost never takes place inside of a wrestling ring. It is all street fighting. It is
Yeah.
all getting items, getting weapons from the crowd, bashing enemies over the head with it, throwing enemies into the crowd, having them hold them, you beating the shit out of them, throwing them into different objects, and yeah, it's just and the outside of the fighting is where really this game shines, in my opinion. Going over and you got stores you can go and get your different Echo clothing at. You got fucking tattoo shops you can go and get tatted up. You got chains and jewelry you can go and buy at different jewelry stores. You got Henry Rollins who is teaching you different fighting techniques and learning and upgrading your move patterns. And it's just fucking fun, man. This game is so fun. And the story is actually quite a bit more involved than Vendetta. And yeah, this was just, it got it all right before we moved to the HD era where this extreme sort of, sport or this extreme style of kind of arcadey fighting game couldn't really flourish like it could on the PS2. So yeah, Def Jam Fight for New York is my favorite fighting game of all time.
Yep. I wouldn't be able to do that justice.
Well,
All right, spinning for me,
yep,
please, for the
it's back to
love
you.
of God.
I think you're on the board at this point. You pretty much have nothing but no.
No, it's action, but that's
Okay.
so vague as well, though. Action.
So whenever I was thinking of action, in my brain, I was thinking of games that is pretty much nothing but that. Like that is the core, like a Ninja Gaiden, like I think you could throw in some of the Souls games in there if you really wanted to. But I was thinking more Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I'll happily take that then. Yep, if that's what we're because we don't have spectacle fighter here.
yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah, that would be the exact same company. Yeah.
For which Devil May Cry though? Holy shit! Oh, that's a hard one. Have you played all the Devil May Cries?
I've played all of them except four, which I know is weird, but
That is
four just came
ridiculous.
out. It just came out when I wasn't playing games much. But while all the Devil May Cry games are coming out on the PS2, I played through all of those, and then played through five last year. And I don't know why I didn't go to four then five, but no.
Okay, right. So I never played them back in the day. My first experience with them was five, and I kind of played it backwards. So I played five, absolutely loved it, and then went back to one, two, three, and four, and then did the was it Ninja? Is it Ninja Theory that did the spin off?
Yep, they did DMC.
That doesn't get enough credit. I want to give
It
that a bit of
doesn't.
love. It's definitely being a little bit loose, but I don't think I don't know the lore of Devil May Cry. I don't think they utilize it nearly enough as they probably should to have pissed off that many people. It's not like it's that deep. Um,
Yeah.
happily flame me in the comments if I'm wrong. Um, but no, Devil May Cry for me, it would be probably the top of that. I I didn't expect to love it in the way that I did. It was the thing of like not being well, knowing the series existed in the way it existed, and people having this love for the characters and the combat and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe because I've heard the same thing about Ninja Gaiden, heard the same thing about Bayonetta and stuff, and I like them games. I don't love them, and that was the big difference with DMC is that it did that, and it also struck a really good balance with like humor, which is what can carry a game
Yeah.
for me. When you have Dante and Virgil doing their little clash constantly, and it's so stupid. Is the easiest way. Like a lot of the stuff that they do is very stupid, but I love it,
Yeah.
and it's just the spectacle on display on Devil May Cry was 5 in particular was just incredible, and it's the type of thing
Yeah.
of like, man, I kind of regret also exposing myself to the series and becoming a fan of it because I feel like I'm going to be now in that boat of like if you was to introduce yourself to Half Life, like when the hell am I next getting a Devil May Cry game? This is brutal.
Yeah, it's been a while. 2019, we're going on, I mean, hell, we're closing in on fucking 6 years, or
Yeah,
it is 6 years.
and the gap
Damn.
between 5 and 4 was wide as well. It's not like that was close either.
Yeah.
So yeah, for
Hope
me it would be
hope
Devil May Cry 5.
hopefully with that show, that means we're getting a little bit more juice in the Devil May Cry bucket sometime soon. So
I hope so.
good shout, my friend. How about we go one more round?
Yep, one more each.
Yep, one more each.
Alrighty, here comes your spin.
Spin
Ooh, racing.
racing.
So close to
Okay,
being strategy, but racing.
I would have happily skipped that bitch. I so there's a heart pick and a head pick.
Okay,
Heart heart pick is Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, and I think that's the one that I will go with.
cool.
But my head pick would probably be Forza 5. Forza Horizon 5 is like so fucking good. But Midnight Club 3, man, it was just a place and time. The soundtrack was through the fucking roof, banger after banger. I loved that era of just visual sort of like I love the bling era of hip hop. I loved the baggy
Mm,
clothing and the jewelry and the you got a damn a Honda Accord. We'll throw some 26s on that bitch. Let's see if we
rim
can jack.
spinners, whatever they're called,
Yeah,
all that goofiness.
bro. Whenever I was a kid, I convinced my mom to get spinners on her car. That little Dodge Neon. We went to AutoZone and I was like, "You got it." I saw some spinners and I was like, "You gotta get these damn spinners." She's like, "I'm not getting fucking spinners on my Dodge Neon." I was like, "You gotta get these spinners. These bitches are sick." I dude, I loved that era so fucking much. It was just so much fun, and I know it was a lot of vanity. I know it was a lot of self-indulgent sort of behavior, but it was like the MTV Cribs and all of that. Like, I don't know, there was just such a I can't really explain it. It was just
This,
happy. Like shit at this time was happy.
yeah, an attitude. Everybody had
Yeah.
like a bit of spice with attitude.
Hmm.
And it was a weird thing of where it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe some people felt it was disrespectful. I don't know. It felt like it struck the a good balance in being a little bit cheeky and tongue in cheek and
Yeah.
spicy, but also not crossing the line completely.
Totally. Yeah. And I just, yeah, once again, like, I don't think the game in terms of the gameplay experience is necessarily what's carrying this one, although it is great. Like, it drives incredibly well, and there's a ton of customization for your cars, and it is a good open world driving game. There's a ton of spectacle, there's a ton of variation. Like, you have motorcycles, you have Escalades, you have trucks, you have cars, you're doing huge jumps as bridges are closing, and like there's a lot of spectacle in and it's also difficult later on in that game. Gets brutally challenging. So yeah, Midnight Club 3. I love that game, and I love the memories associated with that game. 50 Cent in the game playing on there. You had, I think, Nine Inch Nails was on there, Twista was on there. The soundtrack was through the fucking roof. I think Rock is Dead by Marilyn Manson was on there. I think that once again, this is off the top of the dome, so I could definitely be getting some of this shit wrong. But if I'm not mistaken, um, I think that is it damn it. I'm kind of drawing a blank, but I want to say NWA was on there as well. I know it was like a classic sort of 90s rap song that was in there, and it's like it had a good variation of like shit that was modern and relevant and popular now, and also some stuff back and some throwbacks, and yeah, it was just the soundtrack was incredible.
Awesome, man. All right, one more
Mm.
roll for me, right?
Yep, your final spin, my friend.
What do we got? Sim/management.
Well, hey, you got one that you could definitely throw in there that
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Football Manager. It's gonna be boring. A boring pick because we have a. Ah,
you still got a skip on the board that would get you to a totally new genre that you could use.
yeah, but if it lands on wrestling, I'll party. I'll blow my brains out. No, I'll stick with this. I will say this: Crusader Kings 3 would fall under purely strategy, right? It does have management and sim-esque, but it would be more strategy, so I can't weave that in. It would have to be good old Football Manager,
Hey, but it's
which
it's crazy that the two games you've 100%ed in your lifetime, kind of you got the land for both of those with not saying the two games you've 100%, you've 100% in
I've
many
done
many
many in my years.
but but the two games you've 100%ed and continue to go back to despite 100%ing, you landed on both of those within this wheel, which is that's kind of wild too.
Yeah, I mean it took pity on me eventually, which is nice. And okay, I didn't even think that could happen.
What was it?
It's running ads on my videos.
It's so shitty. YouTube sucks
What the
fucking
fuck,
ass,
man? I don't
man.
get any of that kickback. Fuck
Yeah.
you, YouTube.
It's brutal, dude. I remember I had a video that did really well before I was monetized. I think it was at like 2 or 3 thousand views or something. And I would go and click on it and see every time I clicked on it, there was a ad rolling. I'm like, I don't receive a penny of that, which is what it is. But then yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, my from my Tunbridge Angels save when I streamed 2 years ago. Ain't nobody care about that, and you're dinging that for the one person in like every year that maybe somehow stumbles upon that stupid thing. Alrighty. Um, yeah, for me it's gonna be Football Manager. It's I cannot emphasize how much time this eats up every single year from me because it's not even just the fun factor of enjoying the game itself. It's also with what I have to do. There's a lot of times where I have to walk away from the computer and come back. So few like and still wanting to obviously make like that's the thing. Like I always want to be doing something as well. Probably not the most healthiest mindset to have, but having Football Manager is constantly running in the background. So even if it's just going through one match or whatever, and I'm doing it by like 45-minute halves, so it will run through and then I make substitutions and stuff like that. Even just having that be what it is just such comfort food. And very few games hit on that level for me. Like you'll go through with because I said this before with like Disco Elysium. That's one of my favorite games of all time. It's highly likely I'll never play it again. Out of choice
Oh.
of just what's been done has been done. I just have that mindset. But this constant simulation of real life kind of helps me break through that and be like, oh, I wonder what I could do in this situation. Because when you hear, that's the thing of when people do sports and stuff like that with career modes, it's usually relevant to what's happened recently. You know, if a team's struggling or whatever, I wonder if I could manage that better. You put yourself in that scenario and you end up digging them out of that well that they've put them in. Um, but yeah, it's amazing that they've been able to put this on consoles as well. Like it's not a perfect transition. There's a lot of things that did get cut from the PC, but it's not because a lot of people thought it was going to be mobile port 1-to-1, and it isn't. It has a little bit. So they're basically this is the thing that doesn't get enough credit. I know they kind of fumbled this year's release from last year. Sorry, they're basically making free versions of the game each year now, and they all function fairly well, all things considered. Um, and they're fairly competent in what they do. Obviously, the PC version is the most extensive, but that the console version isn't something to scoff at. But it's something that just consumes time. I think with me getting the laptop earlier this year and them having a brand new achievement list for the PC version, which is also on Game Pass, I think I put like 8 days into Football Manager in total.
That's so fucking wild. It's wild to like, we kind of create our own sort of definition for these genres. I was going to, if it landed on sim for me, I already had this in my head. I was like, because I don't play sim games whatsoever. I was like, what the fuck could I possibly pick for that? And what I was going to do was pick SmackDown versus Raw 2006 because of the sim mode inside of it. I've probably played hundreds of hours of GM mode in SmackDown versus Raw 2006. Like one of my biggest wishes is that they'll do what they do for Football Manager for like,
Yeah.
NFL, like they had NFL head coach back in the day. I love that. The GM mode inside of the wrestling games. I wish they would really work to flesh that out and let it be its own thing. Like I love sim modes for things that I really enjoy. It just seems that sim games, and I guess, well, yeah. What the fuck am I saying? I could have picked The Sims, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That is
yeah,
that is
it's like,
literally it's the simulation of life.
yeah. So I would have probably picked The Sims actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, but SmackDown versus just kind of to your point is like having something you already love with football, and then having a managerial kind of simulator of football. It's like what, you don't get any fucking better than that.
No, and they really do need to, because this is the reason that Football Manager succeeded in the way it did. If they just dropped it onto consoles, like I know I give a lot of praise to Game Pass, it wouldn't have broke through if it wasn't for Game, because so many people have been like, I remember playing Football Manager on the console back in the day. It's very rough. I don't really have like confidence in them to replicate that as good as the PC version, so I'll probably just skip it. And
Mm.
them partnering with Xbox was incredible because it allowed them to just get it straight away. Because it still is when you look. I don't know if it's going to show it because I think it's region based. But if I was to boot up the Xbox and you go to Game Pass and most played games and it does the top 10, like Football Manager doesn't move out of it. It may not sell
Yeah,
shitloads of copies, but it's a
but people
game
play it,
that
play it.
will keep. So that is the perfect game to put in a subscription based thing because you keep it in there the entire year and nobody's going. If they are a Football Manager fan, that is enough for them to just keep dinging them.
Right.
So I think I would like to see, because I would happily play like a wrestling or a UFC management thing, like anything.
Yeah.
Like I want them to do Motorsport Manager and stuff like that on console. Like there's so many of them types of games that they really need to do, and I think the way of doing it would be partnering with Game Pass and like that.
Get to be
Um,
Dana White, booking
yeah,
matches and like booking fights, be Triple H, that would be so sick to go through all of that. But Loon, thank you, my friend, for operating the ones and twos on the production for this wheel spinning extravaganza. We hope that you all at home enjoyed it. And let us know for the genres that we picked here today. What would your selections for the best game of those genres be? Or your favorite games, more so favorite games than best games. But if we're being honest, best just fits in the title of the video better than favorite, and it's a little bit more clickable. So we hope you understand that there has to be a degree of clickbait that is unfortunately necessary. So that is the video. Loon, once again, thank you so much for operating all the production on this. I know that shit is not it can be stressful pulling up
it's
all of that
fine.
on the fly.
We work with what we got for the good people
So
back at home.
make sure to send your thanks to Loon for keeping this ship float. And obviously Loon's channel will be linked in the description. Check his solo endeavors out as well, and make sure to subscribe, like all of that good stuff. And yeah, I think that's it from us. Loon, uh, have I forgotten any major parting words that I need to pass on to the good people?
Nope, I don't think so.
Perfect. Well, that's it. Appreciate it. Take it easy. See you all very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.